everybody to understand the loss of a man who did so much, cared so much, dedicated his life to protecting others. As you heard from the commissioner, an immigrant who wanted to give back to his city and his country, who had an exemplary record as a police officer, who did everything the right way.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio paying tribute to fallen officer Randolph Holder as the city mourns the loss of another officer killed in the line of duty. Officer Holder was responding to a shooting when he was shot in the head as he pursued a suspected armed robber in East Harlem. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The 33-year-old, now the fourth New York City Police Department officer killed in the line of duty this year. Now, for more, we welcome former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Kerik, and he's the author of From Jailer to Jail. Bernie, welcome back to Newsmax Prime. Such a tragedy. It's becoming a regular occurrence to talk about an officer gunned down in the line of duty. What's it going to take to curb this war on police?
Well, you know what, Rick, what happened in New York is a tragedy. It's a tragedy for the New York City Police Department, for this kid's family, for the nation. But I think it's representative of what happens in the job, a job that's extremely dangerous. And this is a representation of what happens when cops engage, career criminals. And this guy was a career criminal. He had 28 prior arrests, violence in those arrests. He was wanted for other shootings. And it takes aggressive policing and the right resources, the right training, the right support from administrations for these cops to go out and do an extremely, extremely dangerous job.
Bernie, I know that you've been working to reduce incarceration rates, and actually you met with President Obama earlier today to discuss prisoner releases. Tell us about that meeting. What came out of it?
It was a panel discussion at the White House with the president. The Attorney General was there, who I got to see. I've known her for many, many years. And basically what came out of this is there's a group of law enforcement leaders, close to 130 that I was there with from around the country, and the Brennan Center out of New York, to talk about reducing crime and incarceration. And I think people would, there's a misunderstanding that you can't do both, but you can. I think violent people, bad people that do bad things belong in prison. They have to pay for their crimes. They have to be punished. But I think we're putting a lot of people in prison, first-time, non-violent, low-level drug offenses and other crimes where there could be alternative sentences. And the president was very clear that this was a mission of his. And he's supported by 130 law enforcement leaders from around the country, including Camden, New Jersey. The chief was there, who the president singled out as one community that's doing both, reducing crime and incarceration.
Yeah, and Bertie, I wouldn't have suspected this maybe 5-10 years ago, but it just seems like this is a growing movement. As you mentioned, the president and police chiefs and prosecutors, sheriffs, all getting together. Is the time now, is this the momentum gathering to try to lower this incarceration rate? Can you see this possibly happening where we're going to be lowering some of these sentences in the years to come?
Well, I think it is, Rick, and I think there's a major bipartisan effort. I've been working on this for a year and a half with a number of the members of the House and the Senate judiciaries. We had a number of the congressmen there today in the White House with the president. The Grassley bill, as you know or may know, just got pushed out of the Senate, I think 15-5. This is a bill that I think is going to wind up on the president's desk. I think this is a time that people have realized, we've incarcerated way too many people, and nobody knows that better than I do. We're putting commercial fishermen in prison for catching too many fish. Somebody sells a whale's tooth on eBay, a first-time low-level drug offender with no violence in his background.
Right.
We're not talking about the guy that killed the cop in New York.
Exactly. I mean, excluding the fishermen for a second, but I know there's going to be some of our Newsmax viewers are going to say, Bernie Kerik, I'm still worried about public safety, that we still need to be putting people behind bars. What do you say to those folks concerned about their own safety?
Well, you know what? The people that belong behind bars, the people that that threaten communities, threaten public safety, threaten society. Those are the people we should be going after, not these low-level first-time offenders, and putting them in prison and then turning them into convicted felons, which ruins their lives forever and makes them revert back to crime later on. So I think the president's right on mission here, right on his mission, and I think the Congress is behind it, including 130 of these law enforcement leaders from around the country.
Yeah, there does seem to be this momentum to change our sentencing laws. Bertie, thank you. The name of the book again, From Jailer to Jailed. And when we come back, we're going to join our political panel talking more about Hillary Clinton on Capitol Hill. Keep it right here on Newsmax Prime.